All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Career Transfer and Evaluations Workshop. My name is Maylani Paletti. I work in evaluations with my partner, Janae, and we are going to hopefully touch on some major topics for evaluations, and we are available for all of your questions as well. I'm just going to share our webpage because I spend so much time on it. I love showing it off and using it as a resource for you and for students that you are helping. So if I can get that up there for everyone. Can everyone see?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. All right. So welcome to the evaluations homepage. Quickly, I'll do a quick how to get here because I know that's a major issue with our website is how to find the web page I need. So from campus resources, there's a few ways to get here. We can be found through the admissions tab, another page that I manage, or just straight to the evaluations office here. Um, Once we're here, we have, of course, our coronavirus issues up at the top, any contacts, points of support that students and staff need, they can find here. We have updated all of our web pages to reflect our current online and remote services for students, and faculty, staff are welcome to use them as well. Um, Here we are still accepting transcripts. This is a question that we get from a lot of students, and I'm sure you guys are getting them as well. Is how do I get my transcript in? Because we're coming up on graduation, we're telling them you need it. We have two options. If their institution offers electronic transcripts, they can send it to the email listed here, T-inquiry. That is a district managed email address. And they can actually also send questions there as well. So, like if they sent it a couple weeks ago and it's not being reflected, they can email there and somebody will answer them. We will also still accept physical transcripts. Currently, we are promoting that they send it directly to the district because if it does come to us, it's another couple weeks before we can get it to the district with our limited access. And that just pushes them back a little bit further. So if you have any students asking, where do I send it? It's the email address or the district address would be the fastest. Now, as far as our services, this is a big question mark for a lot of people. Evaluations, we're somewhat of a floating office. We exist under the umbrella of admissions. We are in the admissions office. If you haven't come to see us or seen us wandering around, it's because we're tucked in the back. Um, you cannot see. Janae and I have fantastically decorated desks that never get to see the light of day. But please do feel free to come back, ask us any questions. Counseling visits us frequently. They know exactly where to find us. They lean over the counter and say, "Hey, questions," and we come up and help them out. But so we manage a lot of paperwork that overlaps with counseling. We also have our foot in some transfer paperwork as well with ADTs, IGETSs, and things like that. So we have our list of services here. A lot of these forms you're going to be familiar with working with students: academic renewal, with or without repetition, working on GPAs, certificate of performance. A lot of students get this confused with certificate of achievement. There are separate processes for applying for both, and we do have information on our website, which I'll show a little bit later, on how to apply for the certificate of performance. Credit by examination. This one's another big topic. This is really common for us with fire and EMT, as well as recently aviation has been getting a lot of these. Essentially, credit by examination is I have a certificate in this field, I need this class for a degree. Can I skip the class and just get the credit? And if it is in the approved book, we can do that through this process. Otherwise, they can also petition. So if a class is not approved and they're feeling a little hopeless, they can petition the district to accept the credit by examination of a non-approved class. I get the UC and CSU general education certifications. This is a really important one. A lot of students have an education plan for their certificates and they earn them. They get their diploma, their certificate in the mail, they're excited, and then their UC tells them, "Hey, we never got your IGETSI." And they go into absolute panic mode. So, one of the big things that we're trying to push in our communications package this year with students is that you must apply for the IGETSI certification separately from the one that you earn from our school. And so, we've made that as easy as possible with online steps, tutorials. Um, And of course, Janae and I are available anytime to help students. If they're needing a Zoom session to really do the visual walkthrough, we can help them with that. But most of our students are quite bright and they can manage with the instructions online. Modification of graduation requirements. This one, again, heavily tied in with counseling. They must meet with the counselor, discuss their options. We process the paperwork, send it through the approval line and down to the district. Reissuance of diplomas. We do that. So if they want another one to show mom, like I did something, here you go, put it on your wall, please. They can get that from us. It's $10 for extras. That's easy peasy. It's online now. It's a completely online payment system as well. Student petitions. This one, mostly you're going to see most student petitions going to records. We handle them in cases such as wanting to remove, let's say, foreign earned credits that they had attached to their account and they don't want to use anymore. So things like that, that's when we're going to see a student petition. It's rare. I want to say, I don't think I've even had a single one this year. But if you do get any sort of questions about how do I get credits off of my record, I have a degree overseas, I don't want it to be counted here, this is going to be the path they take. Again, meeting with a counselor initially. And then the big ticket item, everyone's hot button question, transcript evaluations. This one's big. Transcript evaluations currently, officially on our website, we have it listed as 90 business days. That works out to be about 18 weeks, which is longer than a semester. So we're trying to be very proactive, getting students to get this process started earlier. We do have a full set of evaluators finally for the first time in 2 years. We have all 8. We do have some that are in training, some that are new, and we're working at whittling away this time. I've heard some hopeful whispers that it's coming down to about 65 days, and that's amazing. We're looking forward to getting that down lower. But this is a huge process for graduation, and that's really the main umbrella of our department is making sure students graduate. And that's something that every member of our team in Miramar is all focused on getting students through the process. We're there for the students that have a non-smooth paths, I guess. They need to work around some of the hurdles that are in place. And that's what we're here for, is to get them over those hurdles, get them through, and do it confidently. So transcript evaluation, AP scores, CLEP scores, DD 214s for our military veterans, transcripts, foreign transcripts, we process all of those. Now, transcripts do not get processed and evaluated on campus. And that's usually the thing that kind of confuses students. We are campus evaluations, why don't we do the evaluations? And for that, I always explain that we're somewhat of a bridge between district evaluators and our students or our counseling department or our transfer center. We're going to be that bridge for them. So we process, we screen, we make sure everything's in order before we send it down to the district for processing, because as everyone knows, we do have 8 evaluators for 3 campuses. And what that means is that we need to be as efficient as possible. And that's where we come in. We're the scrubbers to make sure everything's smooth, everything's going through quickly. So transcript evaluation, huge topic. We're working on promoting that, getting our students through faster, removing those barriers. We would hate to have a student feel like they cannot graduate because they forgot to request an evaluation, because it's not automatic. So we are working on communication for this. We're test piloting some systems right now. Hopefully we'll see the numbers by the end of this academic year and really promote that service. So transfer will be very familiar with these. The deadlines to apply to graduate. We have them all listed here, including our ADT specific ones, when they need to get certification requests in. We also have, and we will always be available to help students with actually applying for graduation. It is online now. It is amazingly simple. It's a 5-minute task. We want to make sure that they get in, they get it done, and they also learn how to track it. So they don't have to ask what's going on, why isn't anything been sent to me. We actually have an online system through my SDCCD where they can track their status. And here I've laid out what each status step means for them. And then, just because everyone likes a visual, we do have a short video Mesa put this together and we hijacked it and put our logo on it, of course, with their permission. But it's a really short, great 1-minute video on how to do the apply for graduation. Just as I mentioned earlier, I get these certifications. We have those listed here on how to get them, as well as links to our online submissions through Jira, which everyone has become so familiar with. And we've made that process nice, smooth, and simple. They can get it back within the week. During peak season, the evaluators will often process within a day or two when it's an IGETC. With that, we have some support pages. I just want to quickly, briefly go over. We have transcripts. This is going to have information for incoming and outgoing transcripts, as well as processing times. And we also have a page specifically for all of our forms and petitions. I'll pull that up here. This breaks down if a student ever needs to see if faculty needs a quick review of who's processing what and how it works. That's all listed here as well. These all have been updated with our remote work processes. So there are a lot more words. I know that's a little bit of a blocky thing for students to read. But if you find the specific area that you're interested in, say here, certificate of performance, you can pull that up. There's some visual aids here on how to submit those online currently and get those through in our new environment. So yes, that is what I have for evaluations. And like I said, these web pages, they're up. I update them frequently. If you ever see anything that's amiss, or if you think there's something in your department that would be a really good match for us to tie into, let me know. And I will definitely get a link to your page, because I know a lot of our offices work so close together. And it just makes things easier for students to smoothly get through our web pages. So with that, I am going to stop share and hand over the reins for the next department. And then at the end, we can open up for more questions. Thank you so much.
I sort of got kicked out for a second. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm Laura Hoffman, and I work in the Career Center. And Mylani, I want to thank you, because I just learned a ton right there in those 10 minutes about evaluations, which I can see myself already sharing with students. So even things like about the international degree evaluation or international transcripts, I wrote that down, and then you answered that question. So thank you so much. The Career Center actually is part of a bigger department that also includes job placement and also includes work-based learning. And so I think when people think of the Career Center, they think of students coming and saying, what should I do for my major? And, you know, what kind of jobs can I get? And everything that we offer to students actually goes well beyond that. And so thank you all for coming and just being open to hearing more about what we do. And I will try to be brief, but I get so excited about everything that we have to offer. And I think there's like a lot of hidden nooks and crannies that faculty don't realize that we have for students. I think it's the same for students. They come in for one thing, like, oh, I have a job interview, and then they discover everything else that we have to offer. And we love that. So I do think, as I share my screen here, I do think that there is a certain amount of prioritizing that has to be done, because we're all pretty overwhelmed with information, and everybody's at a different place. Like faculty are at a different place within their courses, within their interactions with students. Students are in different places. So what they need in that moment really depends. And I think that can be really intimidating and overwhelming. And I think sometimes that can be a barrier to accessing our services, is just being like, where do we start? And so I wanted to show you, it looks like I navigated away from career services. So I'll go back there really quick, because we actually have a pretty well put together website, which has a certain amount of information that I'll showcase. But we also spent quite a bit of time putting together a Canvas resource, which is also really useful for students. So I'll try to just kind of point out a few things that are readily available at our website, because that's something that students and faculty can go directly to. And then I'll mention how to self-enroll as faculty or as students in our Canvas page, which has even more resources. So when you come to our webpage, you'll see our email, and that's the way that students can make an appointment. But going back to what I first said, sometimes students, they don't realize all the reasons they might want to make an appointment. So even that can be intimidating. Just, where do I sign up? How do I get an appointment? What should I, do when I'm looking for an appointment? Well, the email is the best way. But even possibly easier than that is we have UChat. So when students click here, they can ask a question. And during our open hours, it's kind of being a little bit strange here, but during our open hours, they can ask a question, just type it in, and whoever's online and kind of in charge of UChat will be able to answer. If it's something they can't answer, they will forward it to one of the counselors. And this is just a very kind of, non-intimidating way for students to get introduced to our services, and we can help orient them. So they might type in, I have an interview on Thursday. Is there any way that someone can help me get ready for it? Or my counselor told me I should meet with someone. So this is a great place for them to figure out what they should do next. And then we do post our events. So this week happens to be National Career Development Week, and we've been offering different workshops that focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's been a wonderful week, a lot of exciting workshops, and we post those here. We also put them as announcements in our Canvas page. And I won't spend a ton of time going over the listing of all of our services because I'm going to kind of touch on that as I go through. But there's two places where students and faculty can enroll in our Canvas page. One of them is right here, this link here. And then we have it linked also right over here. And we'll take a look at it in just a few minutes. So 2 ways to go in and enroll in our Canvas, get even more information. One of our services that we offer is a resume or cover letter review. And so this actually opens up to a video. It's a screencast that I made to explain to students how to get their resume or cover letter reviewed remotely. So they have two options. They can make a regular appointment. So they would be live with one of our counselors, and we'd be talking to them and reviewing their resume live. Or through Canvas, they can actually just send through the inbox their resume and cover letter. And then I've been taking those and I've been using my Surface and my stylus pen and creating a screencast video where I'm circling and highlighting and writing and talking, recording a video for them that's personalized. And then I password protect it and send them a link and they can access it. And that's kind of nice too for students because they can look over it as many times as they want. So I've actually worked with Scott Mahler in Administration of Justice, and I think I've individually critiqued about 100 student resumes between last spring and early this fall. And the students really, really like getting those personalized reviews. I've gotten some good feedback about it. And so that's something that I think too can be a little bit intimidating for students having a resume reviewed, but it is kind of a natural part of where they're going next. What kind of job will they get next? If they're getting close to graduation, they've got some skills. How do they get those skills on their resume? So I think being able to choose the non-live option can be a little bit less intimidating. They just email it and they can kind of review it in the privacy of their home. And, it can be an intimidating process to say, here's my resume, and just watch someone critique it in front of you. So I like that there's the other option. So one of the other links that we have here is College Central. And I'm going to go over here just to show you what that looks like. That's where all of our jobs are posted. So students can enroll in College Central using their student ID and creating a password. And when they do that, they can actually access all of the jobs that employers have reached out to Miramar College saying, we want to hire students. And it's really great because they understand that students will have busy schedules, and they understand that the amount of experience they can really vary. So they can actually search jobs that were posted exclusively for Miramar College. They can look beyond Miramar College. They can upload their resume. They can look for internships. So it's kind of a natural thing. Get your resume reviewed. let us help you start looking for job opportunities. And that's a great example of how faculty can support students in what is next for them. And that could be an internship, it can be their first job, or it can be a job that is beginning to utilize some of the skills that they have learned at Miramar, or when they're achieving their certificates, their associate degrees, they're going to have even more skills to put on their resume and begin looking for meaningful internships and jobs. So one thing I want to highlight, which is such an amazing program, is this Career Ambassador program. So right now we have 2 career ambassadors, and we recruit them from our career education programs. So they are paid, they're about 10 hours per week. And we get these enthusiastic students, these really bright students who are happy to engage with their peers. And they actually work kind of like liaisons between our career center and all the resources we offer and the career education programs that they're enrolled in. So what they do is they support some of the administrative side that relates to making appointments, or we've got a lot of events going on, so they can help with event support, and they can be part of our workshops, and they can also bring back some of that information to even their classes. And that's great too, when they can kind of be spokespeople for our faculty. So the one thing I wanted to show before I kind of showcase our Canvas page is that anyone on campus, any faculty member, can use this link here to request pretty much any sort of support that they would like. So having one of the career counselors come in and do a presentation, just an overview of career services, doing a resume workshop, even doing career exploration, major exploration, it can honestly be anything that the faculty dreams up. If they're kind of working through a specific part of their curriculum, and they're wanting us to come in and speak about a specific industry or how to use a specific license or certification, how to take parts of the curriculum and put it into practice for professional development. It really can be anything. And this is the form that they can use to request that. And it can be a conversation. What are you hoping to get? How can our career services support you as a faculty member and your students? Because the last thing we want to do is put more work on faculty. That shouldn't be the case. It should be, tell us your hopes and dreams and we'll see how we can make it happen and make it be less work. If anything, it's nice when we come in because the faculty can kind of sit back, kind of listen, and let us take over for, part of the class. And hopefully that leads to an ongoing relationship where students can then take action and utilize our services. So sometimes it's coming in to talk about resumes, and then that leads into something like with Scott Mahler, us critiquing resumes for those students. And I think after an introduction like that in a class, then students feel a lot less intimidated in accessing our services, and it can be a real entry point for them. So now let's take a look at our Canvas page. So I'm in student view right now, so you can kind of see exactly what students see when they self-enroll. And there's 6 different navigation blocks here, and 3 of them are actually all about other campus resources, because we understand that it's a holistic approach for students to be successful on campus, and we want to showcase all of the amazing support services that are available in student services on campus. So I'm actually going to highlight only 3 of the blocks that relate to those 3 areas that I talked about, which was career services, work-based learning, and then our job placement services. So students and faculty who are enrolled will see all kinds of great timely announcements. We update them, multiple times a week, depending on what's going on. And I'm going to start with this block, which is called Flight Path. And this is where we really end up, Transfer Center, their ears must be burning because we talk about transferring all the time at this stage. So students come in, they're thinking, where am I going to go next? And it's interesting, as I mentioned, because they're at different places. What's next for them could be next semester's education plan. What's next for them can be picking a major. What's next for them could be transferring or thinking, what will I do for my actual career? So there's different stages, and we're ready to meet students wherever they're at, make them feel comfortable, try not to overwhelm them with information. And kind of the first step for undecided students is helping them understand, what are your interests? What are your abilities? What are your values? And how does that match up with possible careers? And kind of not necessarily right away job titles, because that's a little bit more specific, but we can dabble in that. So one of the first things we do is actually have them take this assessment. It's 60 questions, helps them see how their interests relate to possible careers. And then from there, we can help them explore things using Career Coach and also the ONET Interest Profiler and ONET in general as an online resource. What are the salaries? What is the demand? Is this an industry that is rising where there's going to be a high demand? How much education do you need? And this is another resource that we absolutely love, highly recommend for everyone to view. Really, they have some amazing documentaries put together of these students who get in this green RV, they travel around and they basically do informational interviews. They interview people who have, followed their own path, not always a straightforward path, as you all know. How did they get to where they are? And what do they love about what they do, and a little bit about their journey. So it represents so many diverse populations that I think it's really inclusive. And as we're working with students, we can find out, what population are you? A woman in science? Are you first generation? And we can help match it up with documentaries through Road Trip Nation, in addition to those informational interviews that are in video form that students really, really like and are excited to view. One of my favorite resources is What Can I Do with This Major? As students are trying to connect their interests to their majors and considering, this is a great resource because it helps students brainstorm. A degree like engineering, as many of you know, can open up the door to so many types of industries. It's applicable in so many different career fields, and we can help students brainstorm because it kind of starts to deconstruct those degrees and show you all the ways you can apply it. And you really see students' eyes open up like, wow, there's so many opportunities for me as I go forward. And they don't have to know the answer. They don't have to pick right then, but just knowing that they have a lot of options and feeling like there is a place for me out there. I might not know exactly what it is, but clearly there's a lot of opportunities. This is one of my favorite things. When I was on campus, I would hand this out like candy to the students. This is the Endless Possibilities brochure, and it lists all of the different degree and certification programs for the whole district. And I love going through that with students so that they have this really nice list type way of looking at all of the different options. And for some students, they like that sort of organized list-like approach to looking at degree options. So kind of looks like that. And we write on it, we circle it, and it's really useful for students. So now we're going to take a look at work-based learning, and that one is here under Prepare for Takeoff. So the coordinator for work-based learning is Lena Heckbert, and she has the wonderful job of going in, working with faculty, and bringing the Career Center into classrooms. That's kind of how we see it. So as students are going through their classes, there's multiple opportunities for Lena to work with faculty to find ways to look at the curriculum and think, how can we create some opportunities for students to take the skills that they're learning in that class and begin to apply it to outside of school? And so I think in terms of thinking of the theme of this workshop, what's next for students? Well, we're hoping what's next for them is their professional development or getting a chance to try out those skills. And that can look like a lot of different things. Some of it is just exposure to how their curriculum, what they're learning in that class applies to the outside world. Faculty are really the experts in what that exactly looks like, but we can be their partners in bringing activities to the classroom that will help support that. So in the past, we actually had live, things like workplace tours. Right now, it is actually done virtually through something called NEPRIS, which is similar to when we used to have guest speakers come into class. Now it's done virtually. But this new resource we have called NEPRIS, I used it in the spring. We're continuing to use it, and it's open to all faculty. All faculty can get an account, and it's amazing. So what you can do is think about what kind of person you would love to have visit your classroom and talk to your students from any industry who has different roles. And you can basically request someone, and they will come live to your class at a set time, and they will talk about what they do. Sometimes it even ends up being virtual tours of workplaces, when that's possible. They can answer questions for students. And I was talking to Lena yesterday, and she gave me an example of one that she collaborated with Laura Gonzalez about in anthropology. And so it was this person who was the head veterinarian for a Disney Plus show called Meet the Chimps, which I understand is kind of like a documentary style show about following the lives of chimps, maybe in like a natural habitat or like maybe a conservation space. I don't know. I haven't seen the show. That person coming and speaking to students about what it's like to work in that industry and how they got into that industry and how they moved up the ranks to have a position like that. So it's pretty exciting. I've used it myself. In addition, faculty can take students, break them up into groups, into project-based groups, and they can actually have people from NEPRIS professionals come in and do things like project review in groups of, I think it's about a minimum of 4 students. And they can actually kind of consult, review projects, review papers, or even come in and do things like salary negotiation and mock interviews. So at the Career Center, Career Services, we also offer mock interviews, but how wonderful for students to have that opportunity with someone who directly works in the field they're hoping to work in. So I cannot express enough how much I love NEPRIS and how happy we are to have that service available for students. And the last thing I want to touch on is our job placement services. So Alex Ortega is our job services contact, and he is amazing. What he does is he has a lot of experience, even before coming to Miramar, working in workforce development and also working with veterans. And so he finds employers, he makes these relationships, which, by the way, he works with faculty to say, is there an industry you're trying to get into? Do you have any contacts? Let's work together to contact these employers, work with them, find out what kind of skills they're looking for in our students, what types of job opportunities are available. And when we were not virtual, there would be things like guest speakers or even on-site interviews and things like that. Right now, of course, everything's virtual, but still he's working as a liaison between employers and then faculty and students to actually provide job placement services to our students. And so sometimes he will send students first to us to work on their resume and then back to him. And then with their resumes complete and ready to go, he'll begin to start matching them up with potential job opportunities out in the community. And that is just amazing that that service is available. You'll see here College Central again, because that's one place where job opportunities live. We kind of went over career, our resumes and cover letters, which I made a whole video about our template that students can use, and also how to request a resume and cover letter review. And then just down below is information if students want to contact Alex and talk about their options in getting resumes going and starting to reach out and have interviews. And really, it's a service where they're not doing it alone. They're already getting the relationship built beforehand, and then Alex is able to work with them and kind of help create like a direct link to employers. And it's astounding to me that students have this service available to them. And I think it's still a little bit underutilized. And I hope that in the future, more students can find out about it, because it's something that can be really scary, I think, and intimidating to go through alone. And Alex is a wonderful person to have on your side. He's really calm, really encouraging, and he just has a great spirit in working with students. So that's about all the time I have. I know that I cannot be very brief sometimes, but really I encourage all faculty, anyone who is watching this, to reach out to any of us, because we're so looking forward to helping students in so many ways and building those relationships with everyone. So thank you.
I just gave you a virtual clap, Laura. Okay, so I'll go next, and I am representing for the Transfer Center. So I have a PowerPoint. I'm a little old school, so I said I'll present this and then I'll share our website as well. So So it's showing for you guys? Yay, showing. Thumbs up. Okay, so the Transfer Center, we are a stepping stone for our Miramar Jets future, and our big phrase is transfer on Jets. You see it when we send out the deals with different great events that we have. Again, Sandy Gonzalez, transfer counselor. I've been in the Transfer Center for going on 4 years now. Our purpose, our mission, this is on our website. We're a focal point for transfer in terms of our students, administrators, faculty, and staff. And we encourage our students to become experts in their own transfer paths by way of providing information, resources, and learning opportunities that are transfer related. Currently, our transfer team is composed of 3. So we have our full-time student services assistant, Edwin McLemore, also known as Tolly, been with Miramar for, I believe, over 10 years. So he's great. And then myself, part-time adjunct counselor, and Annette Ignacio, my colleague and part-time counselor as well. We do have a transfer liaison, who's a full-time counselor from general counseling, Barbara Clark, who we are connected with in terms of providing key information for transfer that can be relayed to the rest of the counselors on campus. With that image on the stepping stone, I like to explain it. This is an image when we do transfer 101 sessions with students, but we say, hey, make sure that initially, right before, big important key thing is to know your career path, right? So what's the path? What are the majors that you're considering? And then after that, also key for students to have done is have met with general counseling to do an educational plan. If it's abbreviated 1 semester, if it's a long-term, the long blueprint of the 2-3 years that they're going to be with us, through general counseling or special counseling departments where those services are offered, such as ESPS, EOPS, and on. Because that's not something that we focus on in the Transfer Center. So our focus and kind of the things that I outlined there is we want students to come to us in the beginning of their college experience and in between, and also towards that application process. So we want them to come in for workshops to start doing research, to learn how to be competitive for those four-year universities that they're wanting to get admitted into. There's ongoing university representatives that are also available. So we want them to start talking to these admission reps from San Diego State, from UCSD, from private schools, from wherever it may be. And we also have transfer fairs. Currently it's virtual. And so this year we were promoting those states through our Canvas show, which I'll share as well. But there was a week for CSUs, California State Universities, UC's University of California, and then privates and out of states. So we're always promoting those key dates so students can join those sessions based on their interests. And then field trips. These field trips are usually a partnership with City, Mesa, and Miramar transfer centers. And so it could be local, and sometimes it could be campuses a little further away, but we kind of share the cost on that. And then we definitely want students to come when it's time for them to apply. This is usually a year before they're done with all of their requirements. So they're coming for the application to fill it out correctly. We're helping them finalize those transfer steps to petition for graduation, to make sure they're petitioning for certifications of CSU or IGETC. And then we also do a transfer celebration where we can celebrate their big accomplishment, and they share where they've taken a seat where they decided to transfer onto. Okay, so these are hours for the fall. It's usually similar during the spring semester. And so Monday through Thursdays, it's usually 8 through 6, and Fridays 10 to 2. It's great to reach out to us via email. That's something that our full-time student services assistant checks on a regular basis, gets back, sets appointments for me and the other part-time counselor, or refers to the correct departments based on some of those inquiries. We have a transfer Canvas show, which is great because we post announcements there regularly. There's modules, and in the modules, we have a breakdown of important dates, of how to fill out the application videos, information about privates and out of states, and information that's also great for counselors to be able to access and review. And the presentations that we've done, those PowerPoints are uploaded. They're not recorded, but it's great for the students to view those. Ultimately, we'd like them to join our sessions so that they can establish that relationship with us. And there's our webpage as well. And let me see, I can show you the webpage and the Canvas. Okay. So this is our Canvas shell, and this also student view. So we keep it simple, announcements, and this week we've been announcing a lot on, there's been virtual workshops through historically Black colleges and universities. There's been drop-in hours for students that have already come to the application workshops for CSUs and UCs, and they maybe want a quick review, have a quick question. So we're announcing those things. So this is crucial information in a timely fashion. That's why we want them to join the Canvas shell, scholarship opportunities, information on the personal insight questions, and so on. On the modules, it's going to be broken down in different categories. So as you see here, updates, initial steps for students to be aware of when the goal is to transfer, CSU related, UC related information, all of our workshops happening in the fall, and those flyers, information related to students that are now applying. And so there's videos here, how to enter certain academic details. And it goes on to also the Common App for students applying to privates and local private colleges and universities through a partnership that happens in San Diego. And there's more for students and for counselors to access. Students can also email us here, and so we'll be responding. And on the discussions, I believe Tali just kind of posted a question. If you have a question for the transfer team, then we can answer it, right? And so it's a good way for students to get a lot of great content and reach out to us. Let me stop sharing that. Let me see if I can share our website now. Okay, a sec. I gotta close a couple windows. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, share there. This is our transfer website. And also, like Melanie shared, through the main campus, or I usually type in SD Miramar transfer, and it brings you right to a transfer center. But on here, it kind of highlights our resources, our focus, which will also be touched on that PowerPoint slides that I was sharing to join the Canvas shell. What was interesting is that I had heard a student tell me I hadn't joined it because I thought that it was going to be a class. And so I didn't want that to be part of like my unofficial transcript. And so that just alerted me to like make sure to make a little comment. Joining our Canvas show is not like adding a class, it's just so that you get all this great content. So not to worry about that, but that was good when I heard that from that student. Oh, I should probably put a little something there. Another key area is on our right side where it says related pages, and it's the transfer workshops and events along with other different links that are great to navigate. But on the transfer workshops and events, we upload flyers of things that are currently happening just in our system. So there's a flyer for a undocumented transfer, undocumented students, that there's virtual appointments through campuses. We also promote when Mesa here is helping out with the personal insight questions for the UCs, our drop-in hours, the remaining Cal State and UC application workshops that we offer. And so also how we have a partnership with the Well at Miramar, where the tutors are helping out with the personal insight questions and doing workshops on a well-written response versus a not so well thought out response that maybe doesn't allow for the student to present well to a UC. And so we promote other things that are related to transfer here. So going back to the PowerPoint. So we went over those. So our resources, our focus is on these little buttons right here. So workshops is key for us. Application assistance also key. Field trips when those are, when we're back to normal. If not, we definitely promote the students do those virtual tours that a lot of the campuses are offering right now. And the students know if that's the best fit for them in terms of different factors. The counseling component through me and Annette, university representatives. So we will reach out to we'll reach out to university representatives from different campuses, and they'll give us date, we'll promote the dates, and then set up appointments for 15 minutes where students can start talking to these advisors in terms of making sure they're competitive, what should they know, and other great questions that they might have. The fairs. It is a key area for us to focus is helping students in terms of choosing a university. If they're more interested in a public or a private and out of state, historically black college and university, which there's guaranteed admissions with currently with community colleges in California. There's also the Western Undergraduate Exchange Program, which will charge students reduced non-resident tuition fees, and it includes states such as Alaska, Arizona, also in California, Colorado, New Mexico. I kind of wrote a list, Wyoming, but when students wanna leave the area and not pay a full-on, very pricey out-of-state tuition, these are certain areas, and we would help the students research it. Hey, what about this location? And what's your major? And do they honor that major? And let's look at what that cost is like and what it takes to take part of this. Also distance learning. So if it's online hybrid learning, to make sure that it's meeting the students' needs, or if students have a very high unit count and they're looking maybe for adult degree completion programs, we're helping students explore that. It is key for students to start researching in terms of choosing their transfer university, because majors offered at different universities are different. Their emphasis, the department, what they would do for upper division courses as a junior and a senior, exposure in terms of more research versus more hands-on, and each university has different features. And so we want to make sure that we are exposing students, that they're researching these websites, that we're telling them key language that they want to look for, and we're helping them interpret that information as well. And we also promote the students are checking out these campuses. So when everything was open, if they could make that visit, check it out. And currently right now, there's a lot of guided little virtual tours that students can do. A lot of universities have updated that. And academic preparation, the workshops that we offer, we do cover a lot of general education requirements. So in order to obtain that bachelor's, our students are scholars. And so they're being exposed to different subjects. If it's, speech, the Englishes, the math, the social sciences, the arts and humanities. And so we break down some of that, some of those details. Also prep for major requirements and how it could look like for different universities that the students are considering. And also educate students on assist.org, which is a website that focuses on CSUs and UCs and California community colleges and the coursework that the students could be tackling when they're with us and taking it to those universities of interest. So we cover a lot of on our sessions and on our presentations, transferable units requirements. And so for CSUs and UCs, it's usually 60 that they're looking for, half of a bachelor's, which is 120. The privates and out of states can sometimes require less. And so if a student's considering a certain private or out of state, that's why we want them to come in early on so that we expose them to this information. Sometimes you don't want to accumulate too many units because they do prefer that you've tackled less, or they want you to focus on certain subject matter first. And then we also discuss a transfer admission guarantee. There is guarantee for some majors at San Diego State, not all. And so we can discuss that. There's also guarantee for some UCs, and we discuss that, and guarantees for historically black colleges and universities. And there's a guarantee for Arizona State University as well. We can also discuss the honors program for UCLA. This is students taking 15 units of honors, and it is to increase their chances of getting admitted into a major that is part of UCLA's College of Letters and Sciences. So also in the Transfer Center, we highlight key deadlines so the students don't miss the mark on key dates for submitting application, for reminding them of filling out their FAFSA and DREAMAC with them making that move to the 4-year and other important dates, and reminding them when it's time to apply. So we help with some of the those details there too. When our students are coming in, they're towards the end, sometimes too, beginning, middle, and end, and we're helping them submit that petition to graduate. So we're talking to them and we're like, let's look at, you're my SDCC, what's on your file, and let's check out and now get that degree that you've worked hard for, right? And then they reach out to us, hey, Sandy, I've heard that I've gotten admitted to these campuses. How do I make my decision? And so we're talking about different things there. And they decide on where they're going to go. They submit their intent to enroll. They, put their deposit towards tuition, and they will also be asking for help in terms of, hey, they're asking for transcripts now that I've been admitted. How do I do that? And so we're walking them through those steps, and we celebrate their success at the end through a transfer center celebration. Some of the workshops that we offer, since that is key for us, it's Transfer 101, which is a great presentation for us to give to classes, also during orientations, onboarding of new students. And so that's just a little bit of everything with transfer. There's workshops focusing on CSUs and ADT, which is an option for some majors, UC transfer basics, the guarantees with the UCs, final year transfer checklist, application supplementals. Some of our students get denied if they fill out those applications incorrectly. Usually it happens because they didn't come to those opportunities that we offer. And so it's new terrain for them. And so they can make, mistakes that could have been avoided, or maybe they missed a deadline to submit something. So they will come to us and we'll start working with them to see about completing a packet to get those campuses to look at their application once again. And maybe that decision of denial can be overturned. It's not for everybody. That's a limited overturn. It is an option for some students, and there is some success with the students that we've helped. HBCUs, we do workshops on exploring local colleges and universities, because a lot of students sometimes seem that they want to stay more around the San Diego area. Not for everybody, but there is a big demand on that. And then the rest of those are more focused on some of the career path that students express more interest in. So if it's nursing, there's partnerships with certain instructional, or Annette kind of has done her research on those medical schools to make sure that our students know different information that they should be exposed to early on. And then those other majors that are partnership with instructors that we're wanting to do a certain presentation for that particular subject matter. And so we tailor it, and the students come, or we then just start offering it regularly. So it is important to stay connected with us through our Transfer Center website. It's important to check the transfer workshops and events, because that's key things that are going on during that semester. The Canvas shell is great because it has all the up-to-date information. I can make the announcements. It's a great way for me to reach out to students. They can reach out to us. And email is also great. And we are more than willing to do class presentations per request. We just ask that you reach out early. So during the summer break or before the semester starts, because then we tend to get busy, right? So we're kind of limited in terms of the services that we sometimes are offered, or we're booked with a lot of appointments. There's a lot of demand for students with the transfer process. So just reach out to us early so we can kind of fit you in our calendars and make sure that we give those presentations, and we can tailor them based on the needs. But I think that covers everything for me.
Thank you, Sandy. That was so great. You guys do such important work.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll take this time to open up to any questions. I know we're just at our hour here, but if anybody has any quick questions, please let us know. All right. Well, I know we've got Classified Senate coming up right now, actually. So thank you all so much for attending. I know I learned heaps of information today. Thank you, Sandy and Laura, for your presentations as well. With no further questions, I'm going to go ahead and release you all back into the world. And thank you so much for attending. And feel free to send any questions our way via email, send students our way. We're all here and ready and willing to help them get through. Thank you so much for attending.